We have a 15-minute halftime. Live kickoffs to start the halves, but most of the special teams will be thud today. And the SEC has invited some of our friends to work as officials. Aaron Rodgers, Booger McFarland. Well, at least they are friends now. We'll see what happens after the game.
I tell you, the fact that you've got two former offensive linemen as your line judges, that's going to be the cleanest neutral zone in the history of football.
So we're ready to go. Last year, temperatures were in the mid to upper 90s. This year it's a very comfortable day, temps in the 50s.
Well, this is a game that's actually much earlier than most spring games too, Clay. You got to remember that, and it really ends up being a beautiful day. I know this, the players love it.
I know the big guys do. They're not looking for an extra 90-day out there in pads.
No, they don't want that. 55 is perfect.
Well, and the fact that they're going to be moving. Hey, Coach Muschamp, Laura Rutledge, she's going to be a sideline reporter. Coach Muschamp, not only the head coach, but also a holder.
No job is too small for the head coach.
That's right.
Parker White was the incumbent place kicker, puts it in the air, and we're underway. This is Shamar Glenn on the return, and he's going to be tackled at the 22-yard line. And it's going to be ones versus ones to start, Gene. And a lot of times you see ones versus twos in these spring games, but it's going to be good on good. And Jake Bentley, of course, the third season as quarterback for the Captain, almost 2,800 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions last year. There were some up and downs, but for the most part, he has had an outstanding career at South Carolina.
There's no question about it. And again, I think this has got to be a breakout year for him, because obviously he did some great things last year. But what they have to do and what Dan Warner has to do is get him out there and continue to make good decisions. He had 12 interceptions last year, threw for 18 touchdowns, but you've got to eliminate those big plays going the other way for the defense.
He'll go to the air right away. The pass is caught out close to the 30-yard line. And it's going to be a lot of tempo. Brian Edwards makes that first catch, an 8-yard pickup. It's going to be a showcase for the offense today. We talked about a lot of points. That's the goal. Tyson Williams in the backfield, but they throw again. And it's Casey Crosby who is having a big camp.
Well, if you look at this, the tempo is definitely up. You can tell that they're trying to get the ball off around 17 seconds. If they can get it inside 17 seconds between snaps, that's lightning fast.
The man wide open on the far sideline, caught at the 40-yard line. Walking out of bounds at the 36 is Edwards, their top receiver. Last year, over 200 catches the last 2 years. It's going to be a gain of 25.
That's the element that they're talking about. Let's see if we can't be more aggressive, send some balls downfield out of our tempo offense. Quickly
down to the 27-yard line. That's Edwards again. No Deebo Samuel today. He's still rehabbing his foot and leg injury. He's going to be the number one wideout, but Edwards is going to be a key component in the receiving game.
No question. He had a big year last year. I think you're just looking to build on this. And plus, you have that rapport with the quarterback that's so important. You know, these guys have now, after last year, built that.
Reverse. Flea flicker back to Bentley. He's thrown to the end zone. Some contact. No penalty flags. A little surprised by that, actually.
Nice. I like the little flair from the head ball coach right there that happens to be a defensive guy, right? Look at that double reverse pass, and the quarterback throws it down the right sideline on the wheel, which happens to be wide open initially.
A little contact there.
Yeah, had a little bit of a recovery there for the DB.
There is Steve Spurrier doing an interview. Back in town, good to see. He's here for a golf tournament, also taken in the spring game. And Tyson Williams busts through a hole, and he's on his way to the end zone. 27-yard touchdown gallop, Gene, for a guy that you know really well.
Know him really well. I'm going to tell you, this guy, we had him at North Carolina, and obviously he transferred here. We thought he had great potential. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got great vision. I think the upside for him is huge. Last year it was good for him to get in this league, get in some games. He had some success. Look, they got a host of running backs here, but I think right now they're very pleased with the direction that he's headed. Again, he's a physical guy, almost 220 pounds. That was the first running play that they've had all day long. That's pretty good. I'd take
pretty good results, right?
I'd take that on the first
I like the averages per attempt, Coach. There's a nice pull, too. You know, we talk about offense. Another element that they're going to get going is the ground attack. And Zach Bailey, who played a lot at tackle last year, has slid inside to his natural position, pulls around, leads up right into the hole, sealed up nicely on the second level versus T.J. Brunson, who's going to be a stalwart at linebacker for this defense that's not going to get a ton of love here today. We just saw exactly what they wanted to get accomplished on that opening possession. Let that number one offense click right down the field, play with tempo, and then punch it into the end zone on the ground.
6 plays, 5 through the air. He covers 78 yards. And now the guest officials out on the field for the first time. Here's Bentley. Incomplete. Actually, Michael Scarnecchia in now, the 5th-year senior backup. As you look at Booger McFarland, he's the umpire today.
Shouldn't be one holding call out there.
No, not a single one.
He's a defensive lineman.
And now Scarnecchia. He's complete out to the 43. It's Kiel Pollard, one of the tight ends. They've got a lot of tight ends that are going to try and fill that void left by Hayden Hurst, the first-round draft pick.
The tight end's already getting a couple of targets in this game.
And now Scarnecchia is incomplete.
Interesting, though, that the twos coming out here playing with tempo early as well. It's not just that number one offense. You can tell that this clearly been a point of emphasis throughout spring camp.
Well, if you look at the first 2 series with the ones and the twos, the first 3 plays, they rattled off 3 plays within 45 seconds. You're looking at a 15-second window there. That's going pretty fast.
Michael Scarnecchia out of Fleming Island, Florida. On 4th down, trying to pick up a yard, and it's complete to Caleb Kinlaw, senior running back. Rosenda Lewis, a guy that they like at linebacker, he makes the tackle, another early enrollee.
Yeah, and it's so huge for these guys to be able to get out here in front of a crowd. Lewis is a guy that they're really looking to see at the linebacker position. Can he give them help next year? Being here in January obviously gives them a little bit of hope in that direction.
Well, they lost Sky Moore, leading tackler in program history, so there's some opportunity at that linebacker position.
And it's Kinlaw again as we go down to Laura.
Play fast. That's been a big emphasis. Already a quick score. What have you seen so far offensively?
Well, real pleased when we came out. We got to defend a little bit better. We got to play tighter man coverage. We lost a couple guys on some run-throughs, but really nice job by Jake seeing the fade ball in cover 2, hitting the ball in the hole there, but the tempo helps with that.
I like that you would make a reference defensively early on. That makes sense from you. We've got our guest officials down here. What are they doing for you so far?
Well, not a whole lot. I'll be honest with you. We've got several holding calls and PIs they've missed, but we don't call PI in the spring game.
Yeah, he made that very clear. Hey, I got a flag. I'm not afraid to use it, okay? We're friends right now.
You're welcome to vote anytime you want to.
I might do that. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Okay.
So Will Muschamp, he's in a light mood, but this is serious business here today, to the extent that nobody gets hurt. You talked about it at the top, and that is number one goal.
No,
for sure.
No question. Far and above and beyond everything else, they want to be in that staff meeting on Monday morning, and they don't want to have a lot of conversation with the trainer. I promise you that. So this is the number one goal.
Will Muschamp went from 6 wins to 9 wins. 9, a big number here that's only been reached 7 seasons in team history. Scarnecchia on that run. He is not live. He cannot be tackled. That's why the gold jersey.
You see, that's a nice win up front where they're able to collapse that pocket. We've seen it twice early on in this scrimmage where the defensive front, which is another area of concern from a depth standpoint, has been able to get penetration on the passer.
Ninth play of the drive. Scarnecchia wants to throw. Does. It's going to be a first down reception at the 27-yard line. And that's hauled in by Shamar Glenn, junior out of Union, South Carolina.
I love that Laura pointed out that Coach Muschamp would bring up something defensively. I'm not real happy with the coverage. They're going to be pretty vanilla in this game. We'll notice, this is a very multiple defense. Travaris Robinson is a guy that's going to show you a bunch of different looks. They generate a ton of turnovers. But for purposes of this game, they're going to stay in basically a 4-down look the entire game relatively vanilla for this offense to throw against.
Scarnecchia airing it out, throwing it to the end zone. It's going to land incomplete. Looking for Darius Rush. Another early enrollee. He was covered by a 6'4" corner. Number 24, Israel Mukwamu. True freshman out of Bossier City, Louisiana.
Mukwamu is a guy, I watched him practice yesterday, and I'm going to tell you, this guy's got skills. 6'4" corners. I don't care if you're looking in the NFL or Pee-wees. It doesn't matter. They're extinct. You cannot find these guys, and they really like him. True freshman, got length, got speed, and above everything else, he's a very smart, intelligent player, too. They're very high on him.
10th play. Caleb Kinlaw comes to the outside. He's going to get a handful. Only had 4 carries last year, former Wisconsin Badger. You know, we talked about the 4 running backs competing for the #1 job, all juniors. Kinlaw is not in that group. It's Turner, Williams, Dowdle, and Denson. And Dowdle and Denson probably ain't going to play much today, if at all.
Well, again, you know, they know what these guys can do. Dowdle's a little dinged up. But again, I think it's running back by committee. And I think they got some great options there. And that's the #1 thing in this league. You got to have depth at that position. And they're definitely working in that direction with their recruiting.
Michael Scarnecchia on 3rd down and 7. That's broken up in the secondary.
Well, relatively vanilla, but we've seen a couple of pressures now. Inside, little twist game. Linebackers crossing in the A-gaps on either side of the center. And, of course, Coach Muschamp, who said he hadn't seen much out of the officials so far in this one, but he's there to whistle it dead, wants to make sure he keeps his quarterbacks upright. But in this game, another thing that they're trying to identify is who's going to be the leader to back up Jake Bentley coming into this season. This is something they're going to see out of that quarterback position beyond just their known starter.
Well, Parker White is going to come on to attempt a field goal. It's going to be tough with this wind. It's swirling down on the field. This is a 47-yard attempt. That was his long last year. He struggled outside of 40, but he hits this one. So that's a good sign for the sophomore out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Already got a touchdown on the board as Jake Bentley and the #1 offense look good moving through the air, but it was Tyson Williams with a big touchdown run of 27 yards. And McGee, Steve Coughlin from the Stanford Steve, George Schroeder from the USA Today. They're using the hat cam. We're going to see that this fall, too. That's going to be a nice look.
Nice look.
Just as long as they don't get too squirrely with their head. I mean, next thing you know, folks at home are going to get motion sickness. How about Jordan Rogers? He might have the toughest job today as that center judge, having to spot the ball with all this tempo.
Yeah, they're getting snaps off at an average of under 15 seconds between plays as Bentley takes off. And they're going to be very careful with him. You know, he has proven durable during his career. He's made 20 straight starts now. Took every meaningful snap last year. They don't want to risk anything today.
He's an opportunistic runner. On a play like that, Coach, and you talk about being more aggressive, a guy that wants to get the ball downfield, but every once in a while, if it's not there, to see your quarterback pull it down and try to get back to the line of scrimmage, that might be the best play he could have made.
Play fake. Bentley over the middle. That's tipped and incomplete. For Trey Smith, sophomore receiver, big body, the intended guy. It lands incomplete.
Yeah, back to what Stench was saying with Jake. I think that's a great point. Sometimes a nothing play, a 0-yardage game play is one of the best plays of the game because they made a great decision. That last year, they talked about it yesterday, Jake sometimes tried to press it a little bit too much. That's where you see the interceptions. That's where you see the turnovers. He's got all the athletic ability. He can run and get out of trouble, but the decision-making and sometimes, you know, not making a throw down the field is the best decision.
A step up in the pocket, throw it deep downfield, should have been caught, lands incomplete. In and out of the hands of Brian Edwards. Last year, his dad, Bobby Bentley, served as the quarterback coach. This year, it's going to be Dan Warner, the old offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. And this should have been complete.
Yeah, you don't see Brian Edwards do this much. If you look last year, matter of fact, he literally made some really outstanding catches with his hands. This is a hand catch right here, not a body catch. This is up in the air, up and over. He's got to make that play, and traditionally, watching him play last year, he made those.
There's Bobby. You know, with the new play caller, Brian McClendon, he is still going to be relying on a veteran coaching staff to help with input when it comes to the offense.
And all of them have some level of experience with tempo-oriented offensive approaches. You think about Bobby Bentley, his time at Auburn. Even Eric Wolford, the offensive line coach, spent time with Chip Kelly.
Well, South Carolina started last season 2-0, beating NC State and Missouri before dropping a game at home to Kentucky. That's where Deebo Samuel broke his leg. South Carolina would then win 6 of its last 8, including the Outback Bowl over Michigan. So all in all, a terrific season, improved by 3 wins over the year before.
Well, I will say this. That Outback Bowl win was as big of a win. Will and I talked about this yesterday, just for momentum in the offseason. The confidence that the players gained against beating a Michigan in a bowl game that everybody thought they weren't going to win. And that was just a great win, great momentum win for these guys.
Here's a look at Brian McClendon. He was the play caller for that bowl win, as mentioned, after Kurt Roper was fired. They scored 23 second-half points to win the game. And the players, after he got the promotion, were, to a man, excited. And he's excited for this upcoming year.
They were excited because, number one, that didn't mean that everything was going to be a wholesale change. So that was good for the players. Number two, they liked him. They liked Coach McClendon. The players believe in him, and that Outback Bowl win was huge for Brian McClendon getting his job.
We also saw Dan Werner, who he's going to rely on a lot, sitting next to him. This is Jay Urich, redshirt freshman quarterback, in there now. He will be live. He is not wearing a gold jersey. And Brian McClendon, he's got a Georgia background, worked with Mark Richt. You see Dan Warner, he is the new quarterback coach. And Eric Wolford, the offensive line coach, he comes back to Columbia after some time in the NFL.
And it's important to note that that time in the NFL, you think NFL would not necessarily be tempo-oriented. Well, he was coaching under Chip Kelly with the 49ers, a guy that was really one of the more pioneering minds behind tempo-oriented offenses. When you look at some of the blocking schemes, it's important that that offensive line coach and that unit is capable of playing at a pace. Eric Wolford brings that experience as well with this program. Michael
Almond is on to punt. He's the backup to Joseph Charlton. John Nixon on the return. And he dropped it as he crossed the 25-yard line. Let's go back to that Outback Bowl win on New Year's Day. The Gamecocks were trailing 19-3 with under 2.5 left in the third quarter. Rico Dowdle, who we're probably not going to see today because of an injury, ran it in for a touchdown. And then in the fourth quarter, the key play, Jake Bentley hit Shi Smith, a 53-yard touchdown. The INT seals it. The Gamecocks win it 26-19, and that pretty much sealed the promotion for McClendon.
I'll tell you what, that win, and sometimes you look back on seasons and you say, what one gave you the most momentum? I think that one gave them the most momentum. And again, it also gave that offensive coaching staff the credibility with the players to be able to make adjustments and come back and play well, because they didn't in the first half. The second half they came out, they scored 20-plus points to win the football game, and unbelievable comeback.
And credit your defense, right? Because your defense is able to get the ball back, 5 turnovers versus Michigan, and they recognize, look, this is one of the better defensive fronts we're going to face all season. We faced Clemson earlier in the year, Georgia early in the year, and then Michigan in a bowl game. That's a tall task for a first-time play caller in Brian McClendon. And the defense did a great job of complementing the offense, giving them scoring opportunities in that second half. You're right, Coach. The momentum through the offseason and into this spring ball so that you can start cementing what your philosophy is offensively. That was pivotal, especially knowing that you'd already made that change at coordinator.
After the Tyson Williams run, it's 3rd down and 3. Jake Bentley in the #1 offense. He's going to dump it off short. It's Williams again. Pretty good receiving running back, and he's out across the 45. That's a 1st down for Bentley. This offense returns 8 starters. And again, the only offensive production that they lose, tight end Hayden Hurst. Otherwise, all the rushing and receiving yards return from last year, and of course, all the passing.
Well, I think right now, I'm just watching Jake right now. He's very efficient. He's very accurate. He's making really good decisions. That was a 3rd down. And again, he hit the back in the flat. Tyson Williams can catch the football. great decision. I like the way his timing is. I like his decisions. He's accurate today.
He hits Jacob August, the former walk-on tight end. He's going to be competing for catches at that position.
I think it's important to note, too, that nobody's hyperventilating out here right now, right? I mean, we're not going necessarily at warp speed. We're not huddling. And it's not as if you see Jake Bentley looking over to the sideline now. This is more of a deliberate pacing. And I think this is more of an accurate picture of what we might see in the fall. It's not going to be warp speed all the time. This isn't Baylor. It's not Texas A&M, not a Missouri. You're going to be able to mess with the throttle offensively.
Well, I think with Will Muschamp being a defensive-minded head guy, what he knows is he knows the strains it puts on your defense when you're just at the line of scrimmage ready to snap the ball. Every snap won't be warp speed. Sometimes they'll look back once, sometimes they'll look back twice, but all of those things still put the strain on the defense. The defense has to be aligned, and, you know, it's just Will knows the evils of that and what it creates for a defense, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing.
Here's Eric Wolford, the offensive line coach. He lost 2 starters on the O-line. Looking to build some depth at that position before next fall. There's a nice hole on the left side that A.J. Turner squeaks through and gets inside the 25-yard line. He's out at the 21.
A.J. Turner, I think he's one of Coach Muschamp's favorite players because he does it all. He does a great job up front. You see, again, Zach Bailey pulling around from his guard spot, Donnell Stanley as well, to lead A.J. Turner downfield. He is a spark plug. He ignites this offense, and he's a big contributor on special teams. The only concern is at 5'10", 190, there's only so many miles you can put on those tires.
Which, again, when you have a host of running backs, that helps you just be able to have a guy like this can spot play some.
The head ball coach. We may get a cameo from him in this game real soon.
I like it.
They put 2 minutes back on the clock. We're in the closing moments of the first quarter. Here's a big pass, and guess who? Oh, no!
The head ball coach dropped it.
That was a bad ball.
That was catchable, Stan.
That's a bad ball.
That's why he's got gloves on.
No, he didn't even have to throw his visor.
You know what? There's a penalty flag. They'll hold everything.
There's a flag. Ryan McGee threw a flag.
There's a flag, so maybe they'll get another chance. Pass interference, huh?
Nice job, Ryan.
Thank goodness, look, Laura's there.
He knew it was going to be a drop.
I was worried she was going to throw her microphone instead of her flag.
The head ball coach, of course, making that sideline pass famous here in Columbia during spring games when he was the head coach.
Oh, man.
Let's go down to Laura and hear from HBC.
Coach, what happened there on that play?
I should have caught it. It was a little low, but I should have caught it. I just dropped the damn thing. That happens, I guess. But anyway, yeah, it's my favorite play of the spring game. And Coach Muschamp said, we'll throw it to you if you'll go catch it. I said, well, surely. But I wanted him on the 10-yard line, not the 20. I think the wind sort of dived it a little low left, and I missed it.
The old wind interference. It's not.
I just missed it.
Yeah.
No excuses. Had my gloves on and everything.
Yeah, you told me that you needed those gloves because the football is hard. Take us through seeing the ball coming your way and trying to catch it.
Oh, it's very helpful. These gloves are. There's no question about it. And but it hit the gloves and bounced off. That's what happened. But anyway, yeah, Skarnecki looks good, the quarterback here. And I wanted him a little closer to me, but it's history now. I didn't catch it.
Well, Coach, what do you think about some of these trick plays in spring games? You've had some experience with a few of them.
Well, these we usually had somebody. Darius Rucker caught one here, and Don Staley caught one right down here in the end zone. And unfortunately, I dropped my shot.
Okay, we won't shame you anymore. Thanks so much, Coach.
All right, thanks, Laura.
Laura forgot to mention that she had that opportunity in Arkansas.
Oh, that's right.
And didn't catch it.
Yeah, you know what? You don't want to grandstand. I thought that was very generous.
Yes, but it's great to see him here.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, you're talking about the winningest coach in program history here. And, you know, what Coach Spurrier did at 2 different programs is remarkable. In fact, it's unprecedented.
Let's go back to Laura.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are ripping me on that Arkansas play. I'd like to keep in mind that it was an offensive lineman, Matt Stinchcomb, who threw the pass to me. Sebastian Tretola, great young man. I was told it would be sort of a basket catch type pass. It was actually something that I was required to catch it on the run. So we'll get back to the game here, guys. The important
Jacob
stuff.
August catches that one on the run, Laura. And it's a touchdown for the tight end, a 7-yard reception.
Didn't anticipate so much excuse making from the celebrity catchers in this game.
Well, now Steve didn't make an excuse.
No, you're right.
Laura
That's true.
she was on the edge. Great play right here. Great decision by Jake Bentley. Comes off the play action. This is a huge play down in the red zone for a lot of offenses. Throwing it to your tight end, right off the play action, accurate. I'm impressed with Jake right now. I'm impressed with the way he's making decisions, how quick his release is, and he's accurate today. And again, they capped that drive with a touchdown pass, and he looks good. I'm impressed.
First touchdown pass today for Bentley. We don't know how long he's going to be in the game here today, but he's got a touchdown pass. He's led a couple of touchdown drives. Don't forget, next Saturday, a couple of spring games for you. Speaking of Arkansas, we'll be there for the annual red-white game at Frank Broyles Field in Fayetteville. New head coach Chad Morris looking forward to the 2018 season. Auburn's A-Day game from Jordan-Hare. Both are streaming live on the ESPN app.
Big day for Gus, big day for Chad. Both of them are friends. Big day on the spring games. And again, get to see what Auburn has in terms of backup quarterback as well, because Jared Stidham's not going through spring, and they're looking for a backup.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, DeCarrion Joyner getting a chance to run the offense now. He's going to hand off to Caleb Kinlaw, but Joyner, a very athletic true freshman out of North Charleston, South Carolina, 4-star recruit, 17th best athlete in the ESPN class of 2018.
And I think in these games this is a wise idea by Will. Number one, he's a young guy. Number two, they haven't had that many opportunities to have full scrimmages where these guys are live. They're making these guys live because, again, it really accentuates what they do best. They're athletes. They get out in space. And instead of blowing a guy dead saying, hey, look, I got you, I would have tackled you, we're getting ready to see whether they would have tackled him or not because it's live. And I think it's a really good decision by you.
Let them use your skill set, right? And especially knowing that at some point in time, they're going to need to see the live bullets. This is only the second tackle to the ground scrimmage that South Carolina has had throughout their spring ball.
You see a few drops today. I guess that's not to be too big of a surprise. Kyle Markway, another tight end, couldn't haul that one in for Joyner. Fort Dorchester High School in North Charleston for Joyner. He was South Carolina's Mr. Football last year, over 3,400 yards, 52 touchdowns. And you can't help but think, guys, that he is going to have some sort of role even as a true freshman this fall.
Well, again, that's the advantage of these guys getting here in January. When you watch his escapability, watch him be in the open field right now, the problems that he presents for guys tackling in space. And again, if you can get a guy that has a small package, get him here in January, it gives him a lot better chance to get on the field with that small package if he's not ready to play full time.
You look at that, not just the quarterback, the 13 early enrollees. It's a phenomenon that's becoming more and more common. And you can obviously see the playmaking ability that they have in this young true freshman.
Jake Bentley has a touchdown pass. That catch made by August. And Steve Spurrier dropped his chance. He'll be thinking about that one till August. Guest officials today. His father, of course, was a longtime D1 ref. It's Mike Golick Jr. Jordan Rogers. Booger McFarland. Booger's got a mic on so he can hear us, I think. Booger, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, how's it going down there?
Hey, man, things are going well. It's a little faster pace than I thought. But things are going well here.
Are you learning anything?
Yes, I'm learning a lot right now. Hold on one second. I got to run play.
You haven't thrown a flag yet.
No,
we appreciate that.
Yeah, because I hadn't been holding right. Can I get the ball, please? Ball.
Doesn't seem like they're listening to him.
No, but he's being considerate about it, at least. It's smart.
What's the most challenging thing down there besides keeping your wind?
Just the bodies that are flying at you so fast, man. And all of a sudden I got the urge to go hit the quarterback.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I don't know if he'd feel it anymore, man. How much do you weigh? I know Stripes are slimming.
I'm about 280 right now.
No.
Here's Joyner, and that slant pass. Another drop for the receivers. Darius Rush.
There you go. Hey,
the true freshman.
No, I like more than anything else. And hold on a second. I got a run play coming at me.
Exactly.
Don't have me multitasking. We can't have you getting taken out by some double team.
Well, that is something that we probably don't talk about enough, is how well the officials do stay out of the way most times.
Oh,
it's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all.
Second down and 10. It's
What
Joyner
about
handing off.
What about the energy level and exertion of energy you have to expend? Look at you. You got to run all over the place. You all right?
84, stay down.
Now we got an injured player. And Kyle Markway's going to limp off.
That was impressive. Now, Boog, are you also a guest trainer?
No, I saw the guy hurt, so I wanted to come to his aid. He's not really a trainer. I just kind of knew he didn't feel good.
Boog, I don't see you running out there enough, though.
Well, the umpire didn't have to run a lot.
I mean, just running to get out of the way. Is that it?
That's kind of why I
I
picked
like
this
you
spot
staying
right
out of
here.
the way of the mic, though. I like it.
Exactly.
Staying out of the way of the mic.
It's not like these guys just put the uniforms on today. They had some training last night for an hour. Or Trey Smith, the reception, and he'll backpedal into the 10-yard line and down at the 8, a 24-yard reception for Trey Smith. So you guys got a little training last night on what to expect. Here's a handoff to Deshaun Fenwick. What did you learn last night in the class, Booger?
They basically went over all the fundamentals of refereeing, a lot of things I didn't know. And Steve Shaw took a meeting that should have been 30 minutes and turned it into 3 hours.
It was catered, though, right?
I mean, some nice rubber chicken, but it was catered.
All right, Booger. Well, good luck. Don't get hurt down there.
I'm trying my best not to get hurt, but
don't hurt anybody else.
I definitely have a greater appreciation for what these guys do, though.
Watch those crossing routes in the red zone there, Boog.
10th play of the drive as Joyner has led this offense into the red zone. And it's Deshaun Fenwick, the true freshman, getting back another one of the 13 early enrollees at Braden River High School in Bradenton, Florida. This is a record number. You touched on it earlier, Gene, of the early enrollees.
Well, it's an amazing number to be able to have 13 of these guys graduated in camp. In spring ball with the rest of your football team, it's invaluable.
See what they dial up here. 3rd down and goal to go. Carry on Joyner. Highly recruited quarterback. Great ability on his feet. He dives for the pylon. Did he get there?
He's
The
going to be a
line
little bit
judge
short.
is going to mark him out.
Well, this is what we talked about. What do athletic guys give you? Again, you know, young guys too, they're going to go back there. They're going to go through the first read. If it's not there, they're going to bring the ball down. He made a great job, great effort at the end, diving towards the pylon, didn't quite get in.
There's our line judge, Cole Kublik. I'm not sure about that spot, man. He's a little slow to the spot. He punched it in anyway.
Deshaun Fenwick with the touchdown.
And a strong, look at that touchdown signal out of Kublik. He meant that one.
Former Auburn offensive lineman, now with ESPN and the SEC Network. The touchdown signal.
Look how they'll turn to whoever they're working with. I said there's real officials down there, right? So you got a line judge down there. It's amazing what Boog was talking about, all the preparation that comes into it and all the different mechanics that go into officiating a game.
You know, Booger was kidding about how fast everything happens, but the decisions those guys have to make, I mean, they make decisions on, I mean, you have to make them in a split second. You don't have time, and I wouldn't want to be an official, I'll put it that way.
No, for a variety of reasons.
Well, that was a very impressive drive, especially considering all of the youth that was out on the field. The quarterback Joyner, the touchdown Fenwick, 9:20 to go before halftime. That was a 12-play, 65-yard drive for Will Muschamp's Gamecocks. He wanted to see a lot of offense today. It's 14-10, the Black leading the Garnet.
pass also being a part of this up-tempo offense. What's impressed you about him?
Well, I think he plays better when he plays fast. You look at the first drive and the whole shot, the safety didn't get over the top. He saw it at the line of scrimmage immediately. He knew where he was going with the football. So he's a very cerebral young man, very bright, intelligent. He plays well when he plays fast.
You wanted to put up a lot of points in this one, and that last touchdown drive, a lot of youngsters out on the field. What did they show you?
Well, we've got 13 mid-year guys here, and I'm really excited about all 13. They've done a fantastic job this spring. I thought DeCaron Joyner did a really nice job driving the ball down the field, and this is the first time a lot of these guys at Williams-Brice Stadium, so it's interesting to see their reaction.
Okay, speaking of Williams-Brice, the spotlight may be a little too big for Coach Spurrier. You dial up a play for him. He wanted you to know he wanted it at the 10-yard line, so maybe.
We were a little far out, but we took the shot. You know, that's what I learned from him. Take the shot.
Yeah, wait till you see it back. You haven't seen it back yet. It's scary. Thanks, Coach.
It's going to be hard for him to live that down for a while.
He was committed to the catch.
He was.
I mean, he
did
went
lay
to the
out.
ground trying to catch that thing. But it is going to eat him up. You can tell it's going to drive him crazy. There's definitely a competitive edge there. But you see all the new faces that are going to be added to this roster. A lot of guys, the 13, that are able to get a jump on it too. So it's not just new to them when they show up here in summer. They're going to already be into the rhythms of playing college football, not only just in the SEC, but just the other elements of being away from home. There's a whole lot of other things that you have to juggle with.
And look, we're talking
football.
about the 13 stench, but they've got guys that are coming in the fall that got to help. Rick Sandage, a big defensive line. We talked about how important it's going to be for these guys to feed their offensive and defensive lines. They got to be, they got to have depth. Rick Sandage is a big 6'5", 300-plus pound guy from Concord, North Carolina, who they talked about yesterday having to come in and play. Is he behind the 8 ball a little bit compared to the other guys? Yes. But there's still guys in the fall that they're going to have, they're going to rely on to come in and contribute, particularly on the offensive and defensive lines.
Really excited about Kingsley Anigbare, freshman from Atlanta. He's going to compete for time on the defensive line.
Young guy that he's really the 2A Defensive Player of the Year in the state of Georgia, and we know how many great players come out of that state. A young guy that T-Rob yesterday was extremely excited about what the prospects of him are in terms of helping next year and being able to contribute. He's had a good spring, but there's several of those guys that they're really excited about.
Joseph Charlton puts it inside the 10-yard line. He had a 44-yard average last year. Tonight we're going to be in Knoxville at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium. First game of the 3-game series between number 6 Georgia and number 10 Tennessee. SEC softball, 5 Eastern, 4 Central, right here on the SEC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. Just a terrific afternoon here in Columbia, South Carolina. Easter weekend. Garnet and Black spring game. Good crowd turning out too.
What a day. This is Easter weekend. You didn't know if this, what the crowd would look like, but I'm impressed. These guys are showing up to watch some football in almost in April, right?
Yeah.
And what a beautiful day for these guys to come out and play. The players are loving it too. Hey, this beats 90 degrees in a spring game all day long for these guys.
Yeah, last year, one of the teams was slated to wear black jerseys for the spring game, and they took them off. They said, nope, we're not doing it. It was in the 90s. This is Jay Urich running over the left-hand side. He's going to get a handful. Lucindo Lewis on the tackle. Don't forget SEC baseball coming up from across town after we're done here on the SEC Network. Tennessee and South Carolina. Gamecocks going for the sweep. Dave Neal, Chris Burke will be on the call. Got to see those clowns last night. It was a good time.
Yeah, they were preparing for tonight's broadcast.
They're probably preparing right now on the back 9. Close to the 15-yard line now. This is Jay Urich running the offensive quarterback. Bentley, 8 for 12, 76 yards, and a touchdown. How much more of him we see, we'll see, but certainly he has done some good things.
I would say that for this half, Clay, he's probably done. They might start him out in the third quarter for a few snaps, but I don't think you're going to see a whole lot more of Jake Bentley.
Muschamp lacked consistent quarterback play at Florida. Seeing that being a problem this year is difficult. As Urich takes off, he is very athletic. Greenville, South Carolina native.
Oh, a flag.
And we do have a flag.
A real one this time.
It's going to be our first of the game. That's shocking. 21-yard run for Urick, but it would hold up. There's Steve Shaw. SEC head of officiating. Also the secretary rules editor for the NCAA. He got that title before last football season.
I've dealt a lot with Steve Shaw. He's one of the best in the business.
From the previous spot, half the distance. We're going to the 7.5. 60.
Bug, yeah, Bug got him a holding call in there.
Holding, number 60 on the offense. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. Repeat, third down.
Chandler Farrell.
We need to get a replay on this one. I want to make sure that that was a legit hold. Boog used to play nose guard, so unsurprising that the center was holding on that play.
Chandler Farrell plays some guard. He can snap at center. And that's intercepted at the 19-yard line. It's a big play for Travaris Robinson's defensive unit. First turnover of the game for the Gamecocks.
Well, you know, that's what they were very opportunistic at last year. When the games were on the line and the defense had to deliver, those guys found a way to come up with interceptions, come up with turnovers, sacks. Again, they did it again here today. I know this is a huge point of emphasis. And you know what's really unique about that? That's a young guy, R.J. Roderick, who has never played a down of defensive football. He's another one of these true freshmen that have come in here in January. He was a triple option quarterback in high school. So it's good to see him in a spring game in front of people live get his first interception.
It was great to see. He saw defensive coordinator Travaris Robinson right there. First guy who met R.J. Roderick off of the football field. He wants to give him enough positive feedback so you reinforce when he's doing things right in a position he doesn't fully understand yet.
And Bentley goes right to the air and connects. A 19-yard touchdown reception by Brian Edwards.
Well, I'm going to say this again. Well, first of all, I'm shocked that Jake Bentley's still back in there. I really am. But I'm very impressed right now. I know this is a spring game. I know that everything's very vanilla. There's not a bunch of, blitzes and things of that nature that he's got to pick up. But that was a touchdown strike to Brian Edwards. He is very accurate and he's very confident in his decision making. To me, what it looks like what you want your third-year quarterback to look like in a spring game. Anything less than what Will is seeing right now would not be a good thing. He's making great decisions. He's accurate. He's getting rid of the ball in a timely fashion. They're protecting him. So this is exactly what the doctor ordered for Jake Bentley in this game.
So you get a turnover out of the secondary. We've already seen, safeties a question mark. And so far, Jake Bentley's taken advantage of it in the middle of the field and in the end zone yet again.
I think that T-Rob was one of the smartest players I had. He was an all-SEC safety for me at Auburn back in 2002. I think he's an up-and-coming star, and he's one of these guys that I sat in on his team meeting yesterday, and I watched how the players respond to him. And he's got a command presence about him. He's a young guy. He communicates well. The players love him. You watch, guys get interceptions, guys get picks, guys get sacks. He's going to be the first one there to hug up on him, love up on him. But he's got a command presence about himself, and that's what the players respond to. That's what they respect, and he's just got a bright future.
Well, after that interception by Roderick, big hug around the neck.
Absolutely.
And DeCarrion Joyner had a nice run. It's going to be called back because of a holding penalty.
I think you're going to see some more runs from these young quarterbacks. Again, they're live in this exercise, so you're going to see some guys that are going to be able to run some zone read, keep it, and try to get some yardage down the field.
I notice the clock is running now. And that is another interception. Picked off as the defense has 2 interceptions the last 2 series. Jalen Foster, the cornerback.
Well, that's 2 picks for the defense in the last 2 series. You know, that's a good learning experience for a young quarterback, though. I mean, you know, that's look, you never like to see it, but he's going to learn that you'd rather throw one of those in this game than you do in the regular season. But this is a slant that's got to be a timing throw. The corner read the split of the receiver. He was ready to jump all over the slant. And again, that's where the quarterback's got to make that decision not to throw it, Stan. And
if I'm Dan Werner right now, obviously the quarterback coach, he's going to talk to both of these guys, backup quarterbacks, Jay Urich now and DeCarrion Joyner, both of them on the heels of a holding call. So you're already backed up. It negates a play downfield, and you come back and you try to force a throw in there. Don't make a bad situation worse. Both of the turnovers we've seen on this end of the field have come right after a holding penalty negates the previous play, and you end up turning the football over.
Well, the other thing young quarterbacks have to learn is that when you're coming out of high school and you go to college, those windows of opportunity close quick. And you got to deliver that ball on time and fast. And if you don't, it's going to go the other way.
They take a shot after the turnover. Scarnecchia throwing to the end zone, and it's incomplete. One of the coaches added to the staff by Will Muschamp, Dan Werner, longtime assistant coach. Most recently the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. He and Bo Wallace put up some big numbers in Oxford, and he's going to be mentoring Jake Bentley this year.
Well, I think there's a couple things he's going to do. He's going to bring some stability. You know, Brian McClendon's a young offensive coordinator. I think he brings an element to the staff that's, you know, experience is invaluable. Whether you're a coach or a player, he's going to bring that to Brian McClendon and be a great sounding board.
There's Darius Rush with another incompletion. I think that's the second time, maybe third, that he has had his hands on a football and hasn't been able to haul it in.
Coach, you were practicing the other day. You said Rush had difficulty bringing the ball in. A lot of drop balls, true freshman, and you've got coverage closing in on you. You got to look that ball all the way in, though. Hit him right in his hands.
That's right. It'll be a learning experience for all of these guys, and you're going to see drop balls. You're going to see interceptions. You're going to see some things that it's growing pains that come with being a college football player. He'll get better.
Scarnecchia deep again, incomplete. So they come up empty on third down. Last year, 38% on third down for the Gamecocks, 12th out of the 14 teams in the SEC. That's going to be something that Will Muschamp wants to see improve.
100%. They've got to have an area of improvement in that. You know, if you just look at what they're doing, I just watched that last play to Shi Smith. You know, here's a guy that they move from outside, move to the outside from the slot position from last year. Guys that got to be productive, got to catch a football, and again, he's shown himself to be a productive SEC football player.
Here's Parker White from 46. He hit from 47 on the other side of the field. Bangs that one home. Guy who really had a tough time over 40 yards gets 2 field goals today. All right, Jordan Rogers mic'd up. Let's hear it.
Hey, when I spot it, is it always on the inside of the hash?
Yes. You're talking about?
Like on this side of the hash? Yeah, okay. Yep, okay. Got it. I messed that up once or twice too. Hey, spotting the ball is harder than it looks.
Former Vandy quarterback and heartthrob, Jordan Rogers.
Current heartthrob. It wasn't just the heartthrob in the Vandy years, but tremendous center judge so far. I don't think he's thrown a flag yet, but spotting the ball very well.
There's Edwards with a catch. Brian Edwards.
Tell you, that was good on good. That was Edwards on Fenton. I saw a little shove off earlier, but I don't know about this officiating. I mean, we had a little push off, which you won't be able to see. But again, Brian Edwards doing a great job coming down with that football against one of the best players on the defense in terms of Fenton.
Bentley still out there slinging it around, and he's complete at the 22-yard line. That one's going to be hauled in by Turner, A.J. Turner out of the backfield.
They want to get their points in, right? And as we've mentioned, there's a lot of different things, different elements. We're not going to see most of them. Nothing from an innovation standpoint. They put in a lot of new elements of this offense. But to get out here in front of the fans and let them see something, you're seeing these shots downfield.
Yeah, Jake Bentley's going to take shots downfield. You know, Brian McClendon talked yesterday about his aggressive nature. They talked about how this offense fits well into who he is. He loves to push the ball down the field. And I watched him in practice yesterday, and I'll tell you, he puts the ball in spots that only the offensive guy can catch it. He doesn't put, when he's accurate, when he's making good decisions, he puts the ball in great spots. He's a very accurate thrower. He gave Brian Edwards a chance to come down with it, but more importantly, he didn't give the DB or the corner a chance to come up with it, and that's what he does best.
You see the almost 19 completions per game, most in the SEC. I'm not so sure the receivers have been helping the quarterbacks out all that much. There have been some drops.
Pretty good coverage that time by the true freshman, though. Israel Mukwamu, again, showing that 6'4" length and able to disrupt those passes. He's getting a lot of reps with this one defense.
Alexander Wozniak, he kicks a 40-yard field goal, the backup to Parker White. Under 5 minutes to go here in the first half. We're at the Garnet and Black spring game in Columbia, South Carolina. Back in a moment.
Well, I think a couple of reasons. Number one, I think he's got a host of guys around him that bring experience. I think you've got a guy that is a young, up-and-coming guy in Brian McClendon, who's had a lot of success at pretty much every stop. He was with Mark Richt for years at Georgia, and Mike Bobo, who is one unbelievable offensive coordinator. I think that the players really respect and like him. He's got his roots set here at Carolina with Will, and he surrounded himself with guys like Warner, with different guys that can bring different things to the table. And you know what I like about our conversation yesterday is he doesn't have an ego. He said, look, I'm trying to put together this offense from scratch, get a base that the guys understand, because we did do some good things last year, but add some elements that we didn't have that give us a chance. And they really started from scratch on this, and I think it was smart.
The lack of ego is huge in all of this, too, because even Coach Muschamp said, I interviewed Dan Werner. I was thinking maybe offensive coordinator, and I realized he, too, is an egoless guy. They just want to have this offense in a place where it can be successful. Can they contribute to one another? Absolutely. Brian McClendon, I think the other element, flags everywhere. Looks like Stanford Steve's getting in on the action.
Penalty flags in the secondary.
Number 40. Oh, all right. We're going to go 15 yards from the previous spot. So 15 yards from the previous spot.
Did Stanford Steve throw 2 flags right there?
Pass interference. Number 40 on the defense.
That's 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Stanford Steve Coughlin from Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt fame. Jason Sen at the safety spot. He's being penalized here in safety, as you guys talked about. One of the areas of big concern for Will Muschamp, depth-wise, health-wise.
Oh, they got the wrong number.
He did get the wrong number. It was 23.
It's Corey Banks on that one. That's all right, though. It was the right call, wrong number.
Can't get it all in one day, Stan.
That's just true.
Don't
Baby steps.
Set the bar too high.
The 7-hour crash course wasn't enough to condense an entire career's worth of experience.
Let's check in with Laura. We haven't talked to her in a while. You've been down there officiating too, Laura. How's everything going down there?
Yeah, I'm struggling to breathe down here, guys. The amount of work and effort and just conditioning that goes into doing this is incredible. If you're a side judge, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, you're running up and down the sideline trying to keep up with this tempo. It's difficult. I also think we're seeing who paid attention in the referees' officiating meeting, and there are some that we all know didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Booger McFarland.
They were at the buffet table.
Priorities, man.
Speaking of penalties, South Carolina, the least penalized team in the SEC last year, averaged 38 yards of penalties per game.
They played clean football a year ago. I mean, they did a great job taking the ball away. They did a pretty good job of protecting the ball, gave them chances in games where otherwise there would have been a ton of margins from a talent standpoint on the field.
Urich out of the pocket. And he's going to be wrestled down in the line of scrimmage. Jordan, we haven't had your opinion on how things are going yet. What's it like down there working?
Fourth down.
There we go. Go, Joe, you got me?
Obviously his earpiece isn't working.
Oh, I hear you guys now.
Oh, you do hear us. Okay, how's it going down there?
You know what? I got a side stitch already. I'm looking up at the clock. I'm thinking, is it halftime yet? I tell you what, the holding call I had, I might get a bad review on that one. It was a little ticky-tack, especially coming from an offensive guy.
Did you pay attention in class last night?
What was that?
Did you pay attention in class last night? Laura contends nobody did.
You know what? It was a long class. There was a lot of film, a lot of targeting. I'm good on targeting and everything else. Whew, there's a lot going on. I tell you what, it's harder to spot the ball than you think. I've messed that up about 3 or 4 times, so Steve Shaw is putting up with me. What, Booger?
Hey, Jordan,
yeah.
Are you spotting it on the inside of the hash?
How about that? I know. You guys played that audio. I play football. I should know that. You know, it's one of those things.
Do you ever see a ball on the outside of the hash,
Just put
Jordan?
it on this side of the line. On this side.
You know what? You make a great point, and the answer there is no. But I got a lot of things going on down here, and I'm just getting my feet wet, baby.
I got you. Baby steps, man.
Critique away, though. I need it.
It's all good. How's Booger doing down there, Jordan?
You know what? Booger's taking this more seriously than anybody. And, of course, the defensive guy would be the first one to call holding on the offense. I wasn't surprised at that.
He had to get one in.
Oh, of course. We all knew that was going to happen.
So the theme I'm getting here is that the cardiovascular work that needs to go in before you take on this role is extensive, and we need to respect these guys more than we probably do.
Absolutely.
Well, there's no doubt. I know we're joking around, but these guys' jobs are hard. We all sit back and just rip them to shreds about this missed call and that missed call, but you know what? For the most part, Steve Shaw in this group, in this league, and I've been in a lot of different leagues. I've been in the Big 12, been in the ACC, been in the SEC. These guys do a really, really good job week in and week out, and there's no denying that. Steve Shaw is one of the best in the business. He trains these guys right. He holds them accountable, and but it's a hard job.
It was a pass that was dropped at the 37-yard line. The register can't haul it in. There's George Schroeder from the USA Today, college football writer. He's the back judge right now.
So I can't wait to see what these guys have to say after this experience, because they keep talking about the level of respect that they have for these officials and all the different things that go into governing a football game. But after the fact, you know, we've got some guys that are relatively physically fit, and they're out there seemingly exhausted.
Wide open, and Scarnecchia drops it into A.J. Turner. That's a 49-yard touchdown play.
This is what A.J. Turner, in my opinion, brings to the table. He can be a physical scat back, if you will. He can make great cuts. He's got great vision. But I'll tell you, a third down back and a guy you can split out and use him in a dual role. He can be a wideout. He can be a slot. You can use him as a jet sweep guy if they chose to, because this guy can do a lot of different things in the open field. And again, this is a little vertical route out of the backfield, and does a great job getting one-on-one with Mike. He outruns him. They hit him for a touchdown, but he does a lot of great things in space with the football, and he can catch the ball with his hands, and he just brings a lot of problems to a defense.
Tough duty for a true freshman linebacker in Rosendo Lewis. Trying to carry A.J. Turner in open space, a guy that can not only make you miss in space, excellent return man, but a really good receiver out of the offensive backfield. And you can see the offense spreading the football around, trying to get a number of different guys involved, and Turner's had a couple of touches in this game.
And now George Schroeder from the USA Today. There he is, the back judge. He was in the right spot, ready to call the play in case, you know, Turner slipped at the 3-yard line and had to be ruled down.
So he did his job. Yeah, he did his job. That's good.
I think it's been really well officiated so far. I feel like we've seen some appropriately placed spots.
Well, we haven't had any reviews, so that's nice.
Not a single review.
So what have you guys overall thought of the offense? Because that is ultimately how this game is going to be judged. Did they score enough points? Has the offense looked smooth enough to you guys?
I think that basically they're going to look back at this and get out of this exactly what they wanted. They're doing some tempo. The quarterbacks are throwing the ball fairly well. If you look at any negatives, you're going to see exactly what you just saw right there. Tyson Williams, the ball hits him in the hands. That's unacceptable. They don't have to tell him that. He knows that. Brian Edwards, you saw him drop a ball. There's been too many drops in this game, Stench. Other than that, you would think that this has really been pretty flawless. The quarterbacks are making good decisions. There's no question that the tempo has really been upbeat when they've wanted it to be. They've protected the quarterback well. The quarterbacks are getting rid of the football, but there has been probably a few drops that they'd like to take back.
Now they go back to Williams, and Bentley hits him for the 15-yard completion and a first down. So with the change in tempo, how is practice going to change?
Well, we talked about that yesterday with Will, and again, it is going to change because you got to walk. You have to work these tempo drills, but from the defensive standpoint, you can't just work tempo all day long. You got to do drills, and you have to have periods in practice where your cleats are in the ground. You're having physical inside drills. You're having physical 11-on-11s. You're having physical situational football that's not tempo, so the guys can line up and beat guys because they're better at techniques. And that's what you can't lose. Will, being a defensive guy, he's not going to sacrifice that. He's going to have those periods where you do go tempo because you have to, but he's also going to be able to err on the defensive side as well and do things that aid the defense.
And a timeout here with 51 seconds to go before halftime. Kind of wonder what the head ball coach thinks of this new South Carolina tempo. Laura Rutledge was talking to him earlier. Laura?
Yeah, Clay, asking him about it, he said, here's the thing. He loves tempo if it works. And he said that's the main key. He liked early in this game what he had already seen out of the tempo. He said he felt like it got Jake Bentley into a nice rhythm. But he said you just have to be careful, especially in this league where there are so many physical teams, that tempo doesn't hurt you because if you have repetitive 3-and-outs, as we all know, you can be in a tough spot for your defense. He said, though, he's excited about it. And the one thing that he likes about Coach Muschamp is he said he's not going to tempo just to tempo. He's going to use it when it makes sense and when he feels really confident in this offense doing it.
Well, it makes sense. You know, when you look at what Steve Spurrier did, and a lot of these coaches offensively, they're happy to go fast at times, but they're not married to it all the time. One of the challenges is the one that he just pointed out, is that as long as it works, you're fine. But if you start getting out there and taking offensive possessions that burn up just at a minute of real time, and maybe even less. You look at the graphic here, 3-and-out drive percentage, 10th in the league last year. One of the things was they wanted to go fast a year ago. They just didn't know if their defense could hold up. Well, the defense proved to be pretty good a season ago, but they weren't as committed to a tempo approach. And so the idea that they're going to just take the field and go fast for the sake of going fast, like some offenses have done or tried to do in this conference, I don't think that's going to happen. It's exactly what Coach Spurrier talked about and what Laura was just touching on. I think that they want to give at least the impression to a defense, hey, we might snap the football right here. You have to be prepared and still be more deliberate with their pacing. They don't have to go fast all the time.
Third punt. And the kick. Charles, 32-yard punt. See Will Muschamp. Final seconds here of the first half. And I think they're going to go to the 1-minute drill. He just spotted the ball. And at the end here of the first half, he talked about maybe going through some situational stuff, guys.
Yeah, this is invaluable. So they should put a minute back on the clock. Maybe they'll start with 40 seconds. But the reality of it is you can't get enough of this. As a head coach, you have to put your guys in situational football as much as you can. So right now, whether they're going down to score a field goal or a touchdown, he'll give them the scenario, but there's 40 seconds left, so now they can use their timeouts. They can use their tempo. They're usually going to stay in one formation and try to work the ball down the field. And this is a huge deal for all teams at this point in time, working the situational football. Another drop you see right there. We talked about it earlier, Clark.
Deshaun Fenwick this time, the true freshman running back.
And whenever you're in an end-to-half situation, that first play is arguably the most important one. To jumpstart that 2-minute, 1-minute offense, you don't want to open up that series with a drop pass right over the center of the formation.
Michael Scarnecchia, the fifth-year senior, going to be the backup again. The play is ruled dead. He would have been sacked, but he's wearing the gold jersey. He is not live.
We've got some new faces in there right now. True freshman at center. Frank Manis, a guy that they're pretty high on. Another one of these early enrollees. They've gotten a lot of young guys some work, but at times we've seen in this game, even though it's been relatively straightforward from a defensive standpoint, where the defensive front has done a good job and or some of the twisting linebackers in getting pressure on these passers.
Well, you saw a sack right there. There's been some earlier that just wasn't called, but these guys pull off when they know the quarterback's not live, or there could have been some other sacks in there. You'll see these guys get close to the quarterback and pull off.
Sliding catch at the 48-yard line by Pollard, Kiel Pollard. Gain of 30 yards for the junior from Moultrie, Georgia.
Another tight end. We've seen them targeted a number of occasions in this first half.
15 seconds to go here, and that's batted down at the line. And Jay Webb got his hand up to block that down.
Again, you see a lot of pressure on these quarterbacks, and when they're not live, there's some times in there where, look, it probably would have been a sack, or somebody could have dove and disrupted the quarterback with hitting a knee or hitting some part of their body. But, in these games, it's a little easier to get the ball thrown vertically down the field without you being live on the quarterback.
Second down and 10 seconds to go. Scarnecchia looks like he's going to be sacked again. Shamit Blackshear, the junior defensive end, second sack on this drive.
I think this is a point of emphasis for the defense. T-Rob, young guys like Blackshear, who's played a little bit. They're trying to get him to come on. You can see that there's some young guys. I noticed earlier in the game that DJ Wanham had a sack and kind of pulled off at the end there. So they'll go back and look at this film, and although we're seeing the ball getting thrown down the field vertically, there's going to be times on there where they're going to be able to go back and look at this film and say, hey, guys, look, that would have been a sack. You guys did the right thing. Don't worry about, what it looked like in front of everybody at the spring game. So they're getting some good pressure with their front four, and they're staying in 4 downs right now. They're not pressuring.
Right.
It's all 4 downs. These guys know who's blocking who. So, they're still getting a lot of value out of this.
Third down at 17. Scarnecchia, the number 2 unit, going to pick up the first down. It's going to be caught, but it's short. Darius Rush hauled that in, but about 1.5 yards short. The line to gain. That's going to do it here for the first half, but they are probably, they're going to call it a half. 24-20, Black leading Garnet. We played 1 half here in Columbia. There have been a lot of points scored. That's one of the goals Will Muschamp wanted to achieve. Cool, comfortable day in Columbia, South Carolina, the capital city, the Palmetto State. Alongside Matt Stinchcomb and Gene Chiswick on play. Matt Vick here. We're at halftime of the annual Garnet and Black spring game. We don't think anybody got hurt in the first half. And Shamar Glenn back to return. As we all know, Debo Samuel is going to be the kickoff return specialist in the fall. Provided he's completely healthy, he's still rehabbing. We're going to have a flag here to start the second half. Let's talk about defensive difference makers, Stinch, and you earmarked 3 of them.
Yeah, Keir Thomas is one of them. Now, he played outside a year ago, and he's going to slide inside, kind of an undersized guy inside, but a difference maker. Bryson Allen Williams, a guy we're not going to get to see here today, was injured versus Kentucky in the 3rd game of the season, but he has that pass rush kind of a trait. He's a twitchy guy. And finally, Jamias Williams. He's just kind of the ignition switch for this defense. He's around the football. He's a heady football player. He's an undersized guy as well. And yet they like the fact that he's such a playmaker, and he's going to move to safety to provide them much needed depth and awareness and gain experience at that position that they clearly lack coming into fall camp.
Another completion for Bentley as you look at T-Rod, Travaris Robinson. And, he talked about safety as one of the biggest concerns. Linebacking, too, though. Sky Moore was the leading tackler not just last year, but the last 4 years. That's another guy they're going to have to replace.
Yeah, it really is. And again, T.J. Brunson is a guy that stepped up to the plate as a linebacker. He's really the leader of the defense. But as T-Rob said, they're going to have somebody to replace the Sky Moores of the world. That's a lot of production, both in stopping the run, and also he was, interception-wise, he was you know, he was unbelievable in what he was able to bring to the table. But T.J. Brunson's a guy that they're really looking for on defense to try to shore up the front seven. And then the defensive line stinks. That's where it's really going to happen. They got to get some depth. They've got some guys that they like, but they're going to have to get some depth.
Number 40 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Jacob August, the tight end, red penalty.
But they're going to have to develop some depth on the defensive line. I think that's a major objective of T-Rob's going into the year, along with the secondary.
You see T.J. Brunson there. What was really interesting to me when Travaris Robinson, defensive coordinator, was talking about, he is the prototype for this program. He is a program guy. They say everything about him. They're kind of force-feeding him a leadership position, and he's taken to it very, very well. It wouldn't have otherwise probably come naturally to him. But they want him to be that singular voice on the defensive side of the football, regardless of all this tempo stuff. We're hammering the offense because that's where the changes have come. This is going to be a defensive-minded football team. Well, they're making some changes on the other side. This is a defensive team.
Will talked yesterday about the mentality that he wants a team to be able to carry. It's a blue-collar mentality. T.J. Brunson brings that. He's one of the most blue-collar type guys they have on the team. First one out to practice, last one to leave. He brings that attitude, and he's got to bring some other younger guys along with him.
Tyson Williams on that carry had a couple of carries for 35 yards in the first half. You mentioned Bryson Allen Williams, one of the guys that's out right now. And there are quite a few injuries. Guys who are not playing today. You see the guys on the offensive side. You see Jam Williams among the secondary guys that are out today, and that's unfortunate. But again, with the early spring game, a lot of time for these guys to get healthy in time for the September 1st opener.
Yeah, again, that's the means to the madness for this. And you brought it up, Clay. Jam Williams, I think he was an all-SEC freshman guy last year. Just understands football. He's in the right places. He had 2 picks last year. Guys that understand football. I watched Bryson Allen Williams, although you're not going to see him in a game today because it's tackling and it's live. I watched him practice yesterday. He's a guy that can be an edge rusher. He's a guy that brings some suddenness and some quickness, to the game on defense, and he's going to be productive. So that's another guy they're counting on to come back.
Now another drive that ends in a field goal. Alexander Wozniak with a 37-yarder. Deebo Samuel, he's one of the injured guys. We'll talk more about him when we come back. First against Coastal. First time opening up at home since 2014. Big one right away, September 8th against Georgia. And then Marshall on September 15th. Potential for a fast start, guys, especially if they can knock out Georgia in week 2. And then they're at Clemson November 24th for the big rivalry.
Second week's huge. Second week, as always, with Carolina, anytime they play Georgia, it tells a lot about how the shape of the East is going to go. And early in the season, and again, all the young guys that you're going to see playing for Carolina, they got to get ready. There's not a lot of grace period in there. 2 or 3 kind of preseason-ish type games. You want to be ready week 2.
It's the ultimate barometer for that SEC championship race. When you look at the fact that Florida and Tennessee are both in flux, and you can take a look at how it broke down a season ago. Georgia with just the 1 loss to Auburn out of the West Division. South Carolina, the 3 games that they dropped. So their 4th loss would have come to Clemson. You think about the Kentucky game, you lose Deebo Samuel. Otherwise, you've got a shot there on the heels of that. You end up squeaking out versus Louisiana Tech, and then A&M on the road had a chance to win that game as well. Otherwise, the only other loss that South Carolina endured was to a national championship contending Georgia team.
DeCarrion Joyner left it on the turf. It is still loose. Fumble, and it's recovered at the 47-yard line, but by whom? DeCarrion Joyner, the true freshman quarterback, with a mistake there. Now we hope nobody's hurt. Man down is Caleb Kinlaw, the running back.
The learning curve. It's the learning curve. It's with Joyner being able to go back in at quarterback and shake this off. Potential turnover, and those are the things that come with the growing pains of being a quarterback in this league.
And it's the 3rd turnover of the game. DeCarrion Joyner, and it's recovered by Devon Bowen. He was involved in that play after the fumble by DeCarrion Joyner. The 3rd turnover of the game. Devon Bowen knocked it out. Griffin Gentry recovered it. Now, Will Muschamp said, you know what, we're going to keep the ball going this way with the Garnet. But turnovers were a big thing last year for South Carolina. They forced 28 last season, most in the SEC by a defense.
Well, yesterday, sitting in on the meetings, you can tell the emphasis that's put on it. One of the first things they talked about in their team defensive meeting was we're not getting enough turnovers. That means not just interceptions. We're not getting the ball out. We're not forcing the turnovers. We're not going after the ball. And last year, that was exactly what they were very consistent at, was getting the turnovers.
Laura?
Yeah, you guys are talking about the emphasis of turnovers, and Travaris Robinson on the sideline here, very active and continually reminding his guys throughout the game, we've got to get turnovers. He wanted to see those interceptions. Of course, they had a couple of those in the first half. That was after he'd really laid into his guys defensively, telling them, we're not going to just come out here and not get some turnovers. They've been able to do that since.
And because of that, in part, they were plus 11 in turnover margin last year. And Urick on the keeper as Kerryon Joyner has been taken out after the turnover. Urick running the offense now. Product of Wren High School in Greenville, South Carolina. This is a big kid, 6'5", 204 pounds. Just a redshirt freshman.
Shown some mobility too, hasn't he, Coach?
Well,
we've seen him get loose a couple times.
Both of the young guys have. Both of you. So you got Jake Bentley, and then you got a couple guys who are really trying to bring along is that athletic dual threat type quarterback kid that brings another dimension to the game, and both of them seem to be active.
You look at the top rushing teams in the conference, and unless you've got some outlier talent at running back and you're capable of kind of imposing your will, there's almost always a run element that comes from the quarterback position. When you look at this conference, it's no different. And so you see a couple of guys that, especially with these younger guys, Joyner, Urick as well, where they can bring more of a run element. Bentley's a scrambler. He can extend plays. He can pick up some yards at times. He's not going to be like a zone pull type of a guy. That's not what they're going to want him to do a lot. He did it some a season ago. But we're seeing in some of these young quarterbacks, outside of a ball security issue, Joyner is pretty electric with the ball in his hands.
Penalty marker down as Dempson's backup, gets the carry there.
Now back to the conversation about the athletic quarterbacks, Matt. I think you bring up a great point. I've been in those defensive meetings, and you would be shocked how much time you have to spend when there's 2 or 3 quarterback run plays. And that's all you need, 2 or 3 that they're really efficient at.
Right.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Will repeat first down.
But the element of game planning that it takes to be able to be efficient and have enough numbers to stop those quarterback runs.
Right.
And again, everybody's gotten so sophisticated with how they do it. But when you got a guy back there that can do both, it changes the game.
Play action. Urick. He'll throw to the end zone, and it's incomplete. As intended. Smith. Here's Mike Golick Jr.
Guys,
Mike, how you doing?
Ooh, guys, sweating a little more than I anticipated. It is fast-paced and furious down here.
It's a cool day. It should be comfortable down there.
Cool for you. It's a relative term. I'm carrying a little more in the flak jacket. And we hit a light jog, more perspiration.
Urick runs out of bounds inside the 5. What's the biggest thing you've learned today?
What's the biggest thing I've learned today is that I needed to stop chewing out these guys when I was playing long before I did.
Here we go.
And it's fun throwing the touchdown sign up. I've been trying to steal Steve's shine all day.
He's quick with it. I've noticed. You're pretty quick on the draw.
Watch this shuffle right here. Look at the lateral movement a little bit.
I gotta tell you, that's a rather form-fitting linesman jersey you got on there. You fill it out well.
Deshaun Fenwick reaching out. No touchdown sign yet. You're going to mark him short. Did you see the knee go down? Is that what it was?
Yep, saw the ball go down right before the pylon.
Good call, Mike.
Hey, listen.
Very accurate. That call was right on the line.
Some money down, guys. You know how it is. Obvious situations.
Fenwick, touchdown.
Oh,
there he is.
There you go.
Arms up. Great technique.
How's that look, guys? It look strong?
Yes, great technique.
You look like touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame.
I tell you guys, touchdown Jesus mixed with Ed Hockley, and you got a hell of a formula. Oh my God.
Careful.
As I hit the pylon, Ken guy, I am so sorry.
Watch your language now, too. It's Easter weekend here.
Yes.
Could have gone with the sleeveless, too. I'm noticing most everybody went with the long sleeves today.
You know what it is? The veteran referee crew wanted to make sure that we didn't outshine them. So they gave us the long sleeves, and you'll notice the white in the shoes. We've been getting roasted all morning by the pros for our white shoes, so they made sure they would keep us down somehow.
Oh, yeah, look at him.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
You're doing a good job. Mike Golick Jr.
Going back in.
From ESPN Radio. We're under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. You know, the second half, they've had some stop time. You could tell that they're bearing down on some things. After the turnover, Will Muschamp kept it with that particular offensive group. They're tweaking things here. They're just not letting things go free form.
Well, they want to get the reps that they want out of this, right? This isn't all just an exhibition for the fans. That last offensive possession, even after the turnover, the reason they stay in there is you got a bunch of young guys in there, at least 3 or 4 true freshmen in the offensive formation at times. Let them stay out there and get their reps. If you take them out every time they make a mistake, turn the ball over, Coach, they're not going to get the snaps that you want them to get in front of a home crowd in a stadium they've never played in.
No, and what people don't realize is that before this game ever started, they targeted how many plays they want each guy to play. And there's a guy probably down there with a pitch count. They know exactly how many plays each guy's got, and if they don't get enough, they're going to put them back in there, and that particularly pertains to the young guys.
And Slade Carroll. Carry on Joyner back in. Running the offense.
Comes out after the turnover. Urick gets in there, finishes out the drive, but you get him right back out there, back in the saddle. I want to make sure that he's able to at least erase some of that miscue with the loose ball on the scramble on the previous possession.
Yeah, I think Urick and Joyner are going to be some interesting guys as we move forward. The guys that do bring this dual threat scenario to this offense. And yeah, you got to get young guys out there. They make a mistake, get them back out there. You know, don't let them sit on the sideline and think about it. Go right back out there and go at it again. There's going to be a lot more of those mistakes, but there's going to be a lot of good things that happen too.
See right there, it was over Coach Muschamp's shoulder. True freshman at left tackle. A lot of new faces on this roster.
We're going to step aside here, take a break. Final seconds here of the third quarter. The Garnet and Black spring game. Back here in a moment.
Young guys, and then both sides of the football I thought had some production. Yeah, offensively they looked sharp, the tempo was good, then all of a sudden on defense they created turnovers and got sacks, so it was good for everybody.
Yeah, I think everybody's happy. Even the head ball coach is happy. They hung half 100 on the defense. 54 points up offensively. I think that it's been a good day overall for the Gamecocks.
You can watch the rest of this on SEC Network Plus. That's going to do it here from the spring game. Coming up next, Tennessee and South Carolina SEC baseball. We now send it across town. So 10.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter, and we're going to see mostly second, third, and fourth string guys now. A lot of youth out there, including that guy, to carry on Joyner.
And as we talked about, before this ever started, they decided how many reps each guy would like to have within 3 or 4 plays. And they got a guy charting them down there, particularly for other guys that are starters. And then even these young guys are going to go in and say, all right, you know, how many plays does TJ Wanham need? Go to the freshmen, you know, how many plays does does the young safeties need? How many does the young quarterbacks need? And they're going to work towards that objective. And they don't just randomly come out here and run plays. They come out here and they have some goals set for numbers of plays, and I think they're getting what they want.
they're always intentional, right? You know, and even Joyner goes back in there, and it's good that he gets back in there. Ball gets on the ground again. Those are those coaching moments, right?
Right.
Something goes wrong, you got to get a chance to correct it off the film.
One of the great stories that we've heard this week in prepping for this game, Javon Kinlaw, the junior D-tackle who had a breakout year last year. He's going to be a starter at D-tackle again this year, we assume. Charleston, South Carolina native. He dropped 40 pounds since coming to South Carolina. That's a great story in itself. But the story of how he became eligible to play here, Gene, is another thing that really sets this guy apart.
That's a great story. I think when you talk to Will Muschamp about it, he's just so proud because he gave this guy an opportunity, and they really think he's going to be an NFL guy. He's 6'6", he's 300 pounds. He's got all the physical tools. He's a great young man that works really hard. But it was really interesting because Will's first week on the job, he actually went to Goose Creek High School to see this guy and looked at his transcript and said, you know what, you're not where you need to be academically. Let's do this. I got a plan for you, son. Let's get your GED. Let's get you to a junior college. Within 1 week, this kid gets his GED. They send him to a junior college, Jones Junior College in Mississippi. They bring him back less than a year later with 4 years to play 3, and the rest is history, and he's been here for 1 year, and things are looking good for him, and it's a win-win for everybody.
He's a good-looking player. I mean, you look at him, I can't imagine another 40 pounds on that dude. Where would you put it? Because he's pretty built out as it is. That's a big frame.
It is. Great lower body. Great, powerful, just lower body yesterday, watching him practice and move. You know, that's where everything starts with O&D linemen, Stench.
And if you're going to run a tempo offense, then that defensive line has got to have some depth. He's got size. They need more size coming. The Sandage kid being one of them that can provide not only some of that depth but size on early downs, so that they can roll that defensive front, because once those big boys get gassed, they don't get back up and run until like Tuesday or Wednesday. It's not like you're going to wait a quarter and get something back out of them.
Here's Joyner, and he's going to hand off to Deshaun Fenwick, and he has met Travaris Robinson's defense for a loss. And, you know, just overall, guys, the number of bodies that Will Muschamp has available, when we're talking depth, we're talking number of scholarship players available, roster guys available, 75 scholarship players on a 108-man roster. That is up. Last year, 59 scholarship players on a 90-man roster. So that's a good sign, too, for year 3 of Muschamp's program.
Well, think about what they accomplished last year. Those numbers with 50-some-odd on scholarship, those are like probation numbers.
Right.
I mean, honestly, look at that. I mean, and they pull out a 9-win season. Just a fantastic win in the Outback Bowl. And their roster was that slim. Will's got his work cut out to be able to do what we call roster management. He's got to build up the numbers. He's got to build up the bodies, particularly on the offense and defensive lines. And that takes a while. You just don't do that in year 1. But you can tell where he's going. They're ascending right now in terms of building this roster the way they would like it. And they're working in the right direction, but it takes time, and people have to understand that.
It's always important to be working in that right direction, right? Because in his point of emphasis, that direction is we got to get bigger and deeper along our fronts, defensively and offensively. And you've seen that point of emphasis in their recruiting efforts. Because you're right, that's a skeleton crew. When you got 59 scholarship guys, it's hard to survive a season. That's a lot of reps for some of these cats. You want to have the opportunity to roll in some of the younger guys, some of your depth guys, so that you don't get worn out. Because you know there's always that singular talent on every team. This team a season ago, you know, Deebo Samuel, when he went down, that was a huge blow. Would have been a big blow for just about any team, but especially a roster with only 59 scholarship players.
Well, I just think, again, if you look at, you know, a 9-win season with several things that happened, your best player, Deebo Samuel, look at what he did in the first 3 games. 2 touchdown returns on kickoff returns, responsible for 6 or 7 in the 3 games. Your biggest offensive production weapon goes down. You still are playing with a skeleton crew, as you would put it, Matt, in terms of roster, and you still pull out 9 wins in this league and a great bowl win against Michigan. And that's just a lot of that's a lot to build on.
Pretty good numbers for Bentley today, 15 of 25, 174, a couple of touchdowns, and that's without a Deebo Samuel to throw to. And for more on Deebo, let's go down to Laura.
Well, yeah, you mentioned it, Clay, and I think it's a point that Will Muschamp would like to make. He commented to me earlier in the game, hey, we're doing this. We look pretty good offensively without Deebo Samuel and Rico Dowdle. And with Deebo, it's just about managing his health. But he said earlier he is just chomping at the bit to get out in this offense. He loves the tempo. He loves how comfortable Jake Bentley looks. And as a guy who knows he brings so much to the table offensively as a weapon, he can't wait to get into this tempo offense. He said that he's really excited about the fact that he's actually getting some time to get fully healthy, because he said in tempo, you got to have the freshest legs possible. He wants to make sure he's fresh and ready to go. He feels like he will be that way when he gets back out here on the field. A lot to be excited about for Gamecocks fans from the offensive perspective, certainly. I'm
not surprised hearing that. I think a lot of young men are excited to play in offenses that move quickly.
There's no doubt
More
about
plays.
It. Well, yeah, play. And look, what happens nowadays in high school? They have all these 7-on-7s, and they have all these different avenues for pass skill year-round. You know, they're 7-on-7s year-round. That's what they play in. That's what they're raised in high school. And then all of a sudden somebody recruits you, and you have an opportunity to be in that same style of offense when you go to college, particularly a guy like Deebo, who's a guy that knows how to get open. He's got the speed. He's got the ball skills. He's got everything in the package to be the go-to guy in one of those offenses. I'd be licking my chops too.
86 career catches for Deebo Samuel. He'll hopefully be healthy come this fall as Urick stretches it out to the sideline, gets the first down. Getting 9 for Urick, who's pretty good on his feet today too.
You look at him, you might look at him and say, wow, you know, I'm not really sure how fast he is, but I've seen those quarterbacks that are 6'5" and their stride is so long and so rangy that they just outrun people. And, you know, it looks like they're not necessarily moving that fast, but they are moving. And when you watch Urick run and scramble, you don't see a lot of people put hands on him. And when he gets into the open space, it looks like he's got a stride that allows him to cover some ground.
Based on what we're seeing here, Stinch, I'm guessing that Urick's going to give Skarnecki a run for the backup job.
Yeah, I think both of them. You know, the Joyner kid's got some ball handling issues, obviously. We've seen an interesting exchange or two. Balls ended up on the ground. But I think that backup quarterback battle, that's something that's going to have to play out throughout summer. They're looking to try to identify who's the guy that can provide depth and who's going to be that role player. Skarnecki, kind of redundant, I think, when you look at Bentley from a skill set standpoint. Who's a guy or a player that can give us that change-up pitch that we can kind of implement into our offense, even with a healthy Jake Bentley? If that's not an issue, if there is no injury problems, who's a backup quarterback that can be involved in the game plan and be injected in as a starter if an injury were to arise?
Skarnecki has very, very little experience. He has played 3 career games. He sat out all of 2016 after a shoulder injury. Just a few snaps last year, but not in any significant playing time.
Well, athletically, he's not going to be what the other two are, but, you know, just sitting in those meetings and being able to soak up all of the meeting time and all of the walkthroughs and all the things that backup quarterbacks do, it inherently puts him in a position to be the number 2 guy until one of these young guys can come along and clearly beat him out. And that's going to be their job, because athletically, they got a chance to do it, but experience-wise and the mental part of the game, that's where the strains come from for a young guy.
Darius Rush had some drops early, makes the catch there for the first down, gain of 11. Final minute here of the fourth quarter.
Was there a more high-pressure throw being asked of any of these quarterbacks other than Skarnecki's pass to the head ball coach in the end zone?
That's the one everyone's going to be talking about after this.
That's a bad play call.
I agree with you.
That's a bad play call.
They kind of hung him out to dry. That was a bomb.
Yeah, a bad play call. I'm blaming that on the play call.
New offensive coordinator.
Jacob August with the catch here. Tight end. Let's go back to the sideline play. Off the sideline, the head ball coach. A 40-yard bomb, and couldn't bring it in at the back of the end zone.
Still should have had it. Didn't make an excuse, but bad play call. I don't care how you slice it, Stench. Bad play call.
He was open.
I know, but they should have thrown it from the 8-yard line, not the 20.
I think that would have been an illegal pass downfield.
This could be the final play. And incomplete. So, guys, real quick thoughts.
I love that Shamar Glenn's, he's begging for a penalty. Well, I think our guest officials did a great job. The offense put on a show. This is it checked most of the boxes, right, Coach?
Checked all the boxes. No, not a lot of injuries. Everybody got to play. Everybody's happy. The fans are happy. They scored points. They can all go home and have a great Easter.
34-20, the Black over the Garnet. Will Muschamp and the Gamecocks look forward to September 1st and the opener against Coastal Carolina. We say so long from Columbia. Happy Easter weekend, everybody.
He's got two good sides. All right. Coach, you were able to do some situational things and a lot of game-like things in the spring game. How did they handle that?
I thought they handled it extremely well, but that's the way we practice all the time. We've got a purpose of what we do at practice, whether it's a 1st and 10, move the ball, a red zone, a 1-minute situation, 3rd down. So our guys are used. We've been a pretty good situational team.
You wanted a lot of offense, total of 54 points scored. How did that side of the ball look to you?
Well, I thought very efficient, throwing the ball, especially with the first group. We had too many drops. We had probably some if he had gotten the ball off situations, which I normally favor the offense in the spring. So, but I was pleased with the day. I thought our guys came out focused. We had a lot more action and accountability than talk, and that's good for us.
Other than Jake Bentley, because we talked about him, what did you see from other quarterbacks on this team?
Well, Michael Skornecki is our backup. I mean, he throws the ball extremely well. I think he's sped his game up since we've been here from the first year to where he is right now, but I feel very confident in him right now. And then we have 2 really good young quarterbacks coming.
How about the defense? Couple turnovers, interceptions. What did they show you?
Well, again, we got to get the ball off people and be opportunistic, get the ball back to our offense, which I think we can be really efficient offensively. But we still have some room to grow, especially on the back end.
Maybe the biggest throw of the game was Skornecki to Spurrier. Didn't come through. I mean, what will you tell the young man about that opportunity?
Well, just got to look it in. Can't blame the sun. We're taking a shot. We're going to be aggressive.
Okay, and you've got 2 more practices. Anything specific that you'll work on with them?
Oh, absolutely. Our young offensive and defensive linemen, they're going to get all the work. I mean, I know what a lot of these guys could do. We're going in our 3rd year, and we've had our 1st and 2nd year guys play a lot of football for us. So we've got to get better on both lines of scrimmage.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Laura.